So here I am with Brie, sitting in the skiff, and we just kind of paddle to a place where it's pretty wind still. We just let the skiff go wherever it wants to, which is not very far, just back and forth gently. And we've just been here quietly looking at clouds, at the water, and the lily pads. And it's been very beautiful. We have a couple days just to ourselves, which is very lovely. It's one thing we could probably both use more of. And I'm just thinking about how we've been sharing a lot about our experience. And recently people have asked me, they first of all share how they appreciate us sharing our experience, but how it sometimes seems like it's so worlds apart of what they are experiencing. So how, they've been asking for more practical advice maybe on what they could do to get closer to the kind of experience that we are having. So I've been thinking about that and feeling into it. And there's certain things a person can do with the brain and thinking about it, and I can sort of old paradigm teach about how to get there. And I will do some of that today. And then there's another part that just comes with the experience and practice and being with it and commitment. And that takes time. And we can hold space for that and guide it and hold it and facilitate that. Or people can try it by themselves too. It all works. It's a matter of what the preference are, how fast you want to step into transformational space and experience change. So, main question that I hear is, well, how do you do it financially? And then maybe unspoken, but also sometimes spoken, how can we do it? Good question. And Brie and I, we've been talking about it too. And there's the physical level of money finding the way to you, which most of us focus on, and then we attach to the way and the energy, how that has to happen or how that only can happen. And most of us, I guess, have that energy of you gotta work hard. If you want to get some money, you gotta work hard, which is one way, and it's not right or wrong, but there's endless ways for money to find you. So if we attach and hold on to money will find us if you work really hard, then that's true. At that moment, that is true, and that's probably then the way how money will find you. So step number one, if you don't want to work really hard, especially it's something that you don't love, and you would like to free up more time to make space for expansion and stepping more into a place where you can experience transformation, which in my experience takes space and expansion, then a big part of experiencing flow, monetary flow, is to detach from your holding on to the one way how money can find you. For example, I can share the stories. I mean, it's not just one way how money found us, and it always finds different ways of finding us too. And part of that was also working really hard for a while. So I have experience at that. But if we let go of the idea that this is the only way, then money can find us differently too. Then you can, from winning the lottery to your remote aunt that you didn't even really know died and you inherit like millions of dollars, to whatever, a perfect stranger drops off $2 million at your front step. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter really. I welcome all that money. If it shows up in my life, I'm very grateful, and I don't need to control how that got to me or how it's getting to me. But the pure fact that it found me makes me happy, keeps me going on my path, makes me able to experience what I'm experiencing, and thus being able to share that with you. So that would be part number one, to let go of our attachment to control how money finds its way into our lives. And then deeper and beyond, why do we attach to that? I would call it a myth. Why do we like to attach to myth? Period. There's so many out there. How certain things are. I mean, I guess we call it reality, huh? But I found out for myself that the reality is really not rigid at all, and we can totally alter it by our intention, by our attention, and by following our intuition. And again, for that, it's important to make space, and even go back to the source of our assumptions and addictions to hold on to certain myths, which, like oftentimes, people that struggle with receiving money, or that feel like they don't have enough money ever, and they cannot really get to a place of earning enough money, earning or receiving. They would call it earning because you have to earn it first before you receive it. I would say there's an energy behind it that is deeper than just the physical receiving of money. There might be an energy of like, money is evil, for example. The rich folks are all assholes. There's maybe I'm not worthy and never enough energy behind it, and stuff like that. Like I'm really not enough. Like I don't deserve this. So in that case, it helps a lot to go back into these places, and that is not an intellectual thing. It for me anyway, solely happens on an energetical level, and Brie and I, we've studied and stumbled into and opened up and received all kinds of tools and ways to go into exactly this place and emotionally release those blockages. And when they're released, then we can start to open up to receiving any kind of support that we need at the moment. Which that's where I live, and where Brie is that too. Our whole family, we always have enough of everything we need. And that is because I welcome all all the wealth and abundance in my life at all times. I don't fight it and I don't confine it. So it's again we're back in the flow. You know, it's all about the flow. If the flow isn't there, if I'm not flowing, then money is not flowing to me either. Yeah, I guess that's a good start anyways. Brie, you want to say something?
I just want to Hi. I don't want to talk too much, but do you want to add anything about clarity? Like just getting clear. I mean, that's a whole separate part of the whole thing, but clarity is so good. The importance of discovering what it is that you really want to have or what you want to be different in your life. And when you, I think also you can connect this point in your brain to your heart and really sit in that space, expand it, and really start to find or feel your way to what's really important. And when you start to get really clear about what you want different, what you want in your life, then the clarity helps you live in it. And once you're living in it, you start to really attract it, bring it to you. I think that's really pretty awesome. That's all for now.
Yeah, and that's the power of intention. Huh? Is that? Do you understand that right?
Yeah.
Intention, clarity, they're very related. Huh? So yeah, really, I mean, like if you are not really clear, and maybe you feel like you should be having like an expensive car and a huge house, but really deep inside, what you really want is be a nomad. You know, like then actually like buying a big house, the not being clear about it, buying the big house and buying a huge car or an expensive car, they will actually hold you from experiencing your dream life, because then you have payments and you sort of you turn into the victim, huh?
Slave to the system.
Slave to the system, yeah. So clarity is great, and in our case, when we felt like we really want to, or that it's time to be homeless and just walk this earth, well, then we just let go of everything we had. It's possible. Why not? You know. And with the full trust that if we ever need it again, it will show up in our lives again. So that's also part of the flow. So flow is, I mean, you could talk and experience flow. Yeah, I mean, we've been working with flow for, I think, for all my life, really. You know, how it looks like when it's not flowing and how it looks like when it does flow. You know, all the experience. So it's not like this is what you have to do to make money. You know, like this is the stocks that you have to invest in, or like you have to exactly do what I do, all the steps, follow all these steps, and then you will be rich. But it's totally up to you. There is no, I mean, you can, otherwise you can go to like business school and learn how to make money the conventional way, the old style way. But for me, this is not very interesting, because that always includes that you sort of sell at least parts of your soul to a system that you might not totally agree with. So to me, it's like I make sure that I'm in the flow first, and then I pretty much sit there and watch all the abundance show up in my life. I am sort of, by taking care of myself, by aligning myself, by being very clear and making space for listening to my intuition and inner guidance, all the monetary means that I need, they find ways to come in. It's really sort of crazy, and by now it's really kind of interesting how, because it's not one way how they come in. You know, they just we stumble into it, or that stuff somehow finds us, huh? Or the energy finds us because it matches our energy, our flow. It's always a match, huh? And if you feel stuck and if you don't experience flow inside, well, then it's really hard for the money to find us too. So I hope this is sort of helpful, although most people really, okay, I do a panorama. Although most people really hope for that guru who tells me exactly what to do, and that is not me. I'm not a guru. I'm just experiencing stuff. I'm an explorer and a pioneer on this field, and I, check it out if it works or not. And for me, it does work. So then I share it, and then you can explore your own path. But it's a little easier because I already walked it. But in a different way, in my way, and you're going to do it your way. So it's a little more, you have to be invested yourself. You're not just following, and you have to show up all the way too. So commitment is probably the number one quality that you have to bring to be successful, period, and specifically if you want to have experience more wealth. Commitment. Show up all the way for you. Not even like all the way to make money, because that doesn't really work either, But for you. Make sure you flow. Make sure your blockages inside can release.